Cost in North Wales yesterday.
Yes, unfortunately.
It feels nice and fresh on the beach, but it burns you on my head.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
Thanks, Helen.
Take
Cheers.
care.
70 years ago, the Waverley, a seagoing paddle steamer, set sail for the very first time. Well, now she's retracing the route of her maiden voyage.
Yes, our reporter Sally McNair joined some of the ship's original passengers for the cruise down the Clyde and for a trip down memory lane.
A cake, a piper and friends. A great way to start a celebration. There were people who'd been on the maiden voyage.
It's very emotional because, to me, the Waverley is memories of my parents. So I was 10 when they took me down on the Waverley in 1947. She was brand new. She's just looking like she was then.
Some newcomers to the Waverley's charms.
Well, my husband and I have been planning to come on the Waverley for a few years now, and we just happened upon it being the anniversary and thought it was a great opportunity to come aboard.
And the enthusiasts whose fundraising helps keep her afloat.
So what exactly are you knitting? A funnel hat to match the funnel. That they sell it in the shop downstairs.
In her earlier days, she and her sister ships took families to the resorts along the Clyde. Happy days and holidays.
But from Glasgow to Greenock, in towns on each side.
But in the mid-70s, no longer viable, she was bought by the Paddle Steamer Preservation Society for a princely sum.
I handed over a £1 note to Caledonian McBrain, who had decided that the best people to sell the Waverley to would be the Paddle Steamer Preservation Society. But to be honest, it was a huge surprise at the time. We didn't expect it, and we hadn't a clue what to do with the ship.
She was restored to her original condition and returned to business. But on the bridge, she's not always the easiest vessel to handle.
The challenges are wide and varied. One of the biggest difficulties I have would be manoeuvring the ship. She was originally built to call it the steamer piers on the Clyde, which are nice wooden structures, but unfortunately a lot of those have fallen into disrepair and we can't call there anymore. So some of the harbours we go to are quite challenging and quite tight. So the ship doesn't handle just as well as a modern ship would.
The Waverley sails on for the rest of today's trip and into her 8th decade. Sally McNair on the Firth of Clyde.
A spectacular vessel she is too. You're watching Breakfast from